If your refrigerator stopped cooling, but your freezer still seemed to be working, don't assume that it's time for a new fridge. I was already looking at some replacement prices, and there are some refrigerators that cost well over $1,000. Now, there are several reasons that a refrigerator can stop cooling. Now, yours may have a different issue than mine's, but if your symptoms are the same, this can save you hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how I diagnosed my refrigerator, what I found, and what brought it back to life. The first thing I noticed was the refrigerator section wasn't getting cold enough. Food wasn't staying cold, the drinks weren't cold, but the freezer still seemed to be freezing. That's actually an important clue. A lot of people think the refrigerator has its own cooling system, but it doesn't. Most refrigerators actually get their cold air from the freezer. So if something interrupts that airflow, your freezer may still seem okay while the refrigerator slowly warms up. That gave me a good starting point. So instead of replacing random parts, I wanted to understand what was happening. I checked a few of the common causes: the temperature setting, the door seals, the vents, and I listened for the fan. Everything seemed to be pretty normal. So I dug a little deeper. After removing the back panel inside the freezer, I immediately noticed something that didn't look right. The evaporator coils were completely covered in frost. Not just a little frost, it was solid. That heavy ice buildup keeps air from moving across the coils, which means very little cold air makes its way into the refrigerator section. At this point, I knew I possibly had found the problem. First, I needed to take care of this ice buildup, and so I unplugged my refrigerator, and I was using a knife to scrape away all the ice. And this took about 15 minutes, maybe 20, for me to be able to get most of this ice off. And then after letting the refrigerator sit for several hours, enough to where I was able to see the coils again and there was no ice buildup around it, then I was able to plug the refrigerator in. So the number one thing, there should be no massive amount of ice buildup in the back of the freezer. And there shouldn't be a lot of food blocking the fan. This is something that I constantly was telling my family about. When you're putting stuff in the freezer, don't block the fan. And then another thing that can cause a refrigerator or a freezer to overwork itself is leaving the doors open, or if one of the seals around the edges are cracked. And so those are some things that you definitely want to watch for, because this can cause either the refrigerator to work harder than what it needs to, and it's constantly building up ice, and this ice buildup will cause a blockage and a restriction of airflow down to the refrigerator. Now, I had to wait at least 24 hours after plugging the refrigerator in to be able to determine if the problem was fixed or not, which after the 24 hours and having some drinks in the refrigerator, it turns out that that was my problem. I was able to stick my hand inside the refrigerator and actually feel the air coming from the freezer into the fridge. Cold air was finally flowing back into the fresh food section exactly how it should. Now, don't make this expensive mistake by trying to order a new compressor or a new control board, or some people even buy a brand new refrigerator. Before spending that kind of money, it's worth checking that the simple things work first. Again, every refrigerator is different. A frozen evaporator can happen for several different reasons. I'm not saying this is everyone's fix, but for my refrigerator, the solutions turned out to be much simpler than I expected. If you found this video to be helpful for you, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. This helps push the video out to more people like yourself that may be having trouble with their refrigerators. If you are new to this channel and you have not subscribed to this channel, consider becoming a subscriber. I do a lot of DIY projects, woodworking projects, and show you tips and ways to save a lot of money on your projects, so that you wouldn't have to hire a professional every time. My question to you is, have you ever repaired a refrigerator before? What was your problem? Or did you have the same problem that I did? Leave it in the comments below. I'd love to know. Or are you in the process of trying to troubleshoot your refrigerator? Drop that in the comments too. I hope this video helped you out on your projects. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.